Hold on one second, internet.
Of us knew it. Would they say I lost the plot? Would you say I blew it? Thought I found a way back home, and now I'm looking through it. After all this time's been gone, I think I just outgrew it. Were we supposed to waste away? Empty out my bedroom, throw all that stuff away. All I'm taking with me now is a blank slate. 'Cause these days are too short to live all life through in this landlocked heart with you. Maybe I left here a long time ago, and maybe we both knew it. Maybe this could have been heaven, but the weeds just grew right through it. So what is left of paradise out beyond its edges? Empty lights of sunset skies over empty hedges.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a throwback show from the early days of live streaming. I accidentally hit go live because my mouse just happened to be over the button while I was talking to our guest today, and we went live. So I don't even have the stinger transitions. I don't. So yeah, whatever. It's a Simply Cyber production, so we're gonna have some issues, but it looks like we got a good group of people today, guys. Today's episode of Simply Cyber Live, as you can see by the little marquee down below there, we have an excellent guest. Our guest today is Pat Gorman, also known as Infosec Pat on YouTube. I definitely recommend you go check out his content. He is the Director of Offensive Security at his current company, and he is a content creator who just recently passed 30,000 subscribers on the YouTube platform. So he's no spring chicken when it comes to not just doing excellent offensive security skills, but also delivering educational content and really driving the community forward. He is a perfect fit for the Simply Cyber Live format. He's inclusive, he's supportive, he's all about good times. I personally can't wait for you to meet him. Now, a little housekeeping business. Standard protocol goes, if you have any questions, drop them in chat. I will do my best to facilitate and get them to Pat. He is the guest today. I am merely facilitating and messing up the intro of the show. So without further ado, let me bring Pat on. Now, let me just pretend everybody that there's a stinger right here, like, hey, Pat, how you doing?
Yeah, what's up? That's awesome.
Awesome. So Pat, one of the things that Simply Cyber does, whenever there's a technical issue, because I am the producer as well as the on-screen host, I take it as a punishment, effectively, like the shame bell in Game of Thrones, that whatever it is that was supposed to be done with technology, I do manually. So if it's sound effects, I make the sound effects. I guess in this instance, if it's a stinger, I try to distract the audience while I bring you on stage.
That's awesome.
Awesome. So you do a lot of content creation. You had mentioned doing some live streams. What kind of live streams do you do, Pat? And have you ever had audio video issues similar to what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, I always have issues.
Oh, excellent.
I'm still new to the whole live, and it's always definitely a challenge, right? Like sometimes I'll click the wrong button and it shows like a little, always discombobulated, right?
Yes.
I guess because I don't do it enough, because I do more of pre-recorded and then just upload it to my channel.
Mhm.
But yeah, like this year I wanted to do more like this, like interviewing folks live, or just doing like live hack the box and live try hack me stuff or whatever, just demonstrating, live techniques and stuff like that. So that's what I'm, trying to get more into. And yeah, sometimes it's a little nerve wracking, right? Because you're on the spot. You don't really have, too much time to like, okay, let me prep what I'm talking about today. Let me put
Yeah.
it on the middle of the screen. Let me get a few little answers and plays just in case, I run into a stump that I haven't touched. But I guess the good thing about going live and all that stuff, it's not really staged, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's raw. So it's like this is what you get. Like I wanna hit a wall. I'm gonna maybe make a mistake or whatever. Like, and normally in my regular videos, I leave those in probably for two reasons, right? Just to keep it authentic.
Mhm.
And I'm not the best editor, right? So I'll just literally like I hit screen record on my little stream deck, and then this once it's done, I just maybe do a little cuts if I'm like mute, or if I'm like silent for long period of time, or it's like
Mhm.
I'll try to cut those out. But I don't really do too much editing.
Yeah, editing is brutal. It drove me away from produced content for a while, and I'm back now. But it's a whole different story for
Hmm.
me. I do want to say shout out to Sweet Delights. This is Stacy, and the reason I bring Stacy comment in here is because Stacy told me last year that she's looking to get into content creating. So Pat, for someone, Stacy's a SOC analyst right now. For someone who is a SOC analyst, a practitioner, she's on the other side of the fence, if you will, from you, I'm sure. But what's kind of like a quick piece of advice you might give to Stacy to kind of push her over the edge to get started and just hit record?
Yeah, I think, when I first started, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was reaching out to content creators. I didn't know really what software to use.
Hmm.
I didn't know, all the cameras and the mics and the lighting. I didn't have any of that. Like I had a cell phone, literally my cell phone, and like a headset, I think, like a Logitech headset that I use for work. And the way I started was just like a group of friends was, were like, hey, we were studying for like a Palo Alto certification together.
Hmm.
And I would do like a task for example, if it's okay, so let's set up site to site VPN between these two Palos. I would do it. I would screen record, with OBS, and I would just put it on like a Google Drive and share it with the friends that were a part of this study group. And one of my friends were like, dude, like, why don't you just throw this on YouTube? I'm like, I don't even know how to use YouTube.
Yeah.
This is the completely honest truth. I never even watched videos on YouTube prior to 3 years ago. Like, I
Wow.
never used YouTube. Like, I didn't even, like, I'm a little unique when it comes to like the nerd life. I'm not your typical nerd. I don't play on computers. That's a whole nother topic. But yeah, like that's so to answer your question, just go ahead and hit the record. And if you're like camera shy, I was never camera shy. I was just didn't know how to use anything. But if you know how to use all that, you know, do it. And if you're camera shy, just do screen recordings. Like, hey, like you're a SOC analyst. How did you become a SOC analyst? Like, what if someone wants to go down your journey? So maybe start, making some videos on your journey, how you became from where you were to where you are now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, it's excellent for like confirming you understand the content, for practicing, for sharing knowledge and networking. Absolutely. I would just ask anyone watching, if you do jump in there, please at least turn your mic on. Those YouTube videos where there's like blaring techno music and then
yeah,
a notepad opens and they're like commenting. Those
yeah,
drive me nuts.
yeah. Those drive me nuts too. Because sometimes I do watch like, okay, a walkthrough or something like that. I have to, if I'm getting stuck on like a hack the box, and I'm like, okay, let's go look at a walkthrough, and it's like, and it's like all this, like you said, discoteca music, and I'm like, I don't even know, I can't because it doesn't engage me. But
I love it. So you have a ton of experience and a ton of background. So I do want to hop around a little bit and feel Chad's vibe. So Chad, if there's something you want us to drive into more, let me know. But Pat, you have extensive experience on the offensive side of the house. So I wanted to get into that because that's one area that I dabble, but I'm by no shakes getting hired tomorrow to work on your team. So as someone who's more advanced in that space, what would you advise to someone who is looking to get into pen testing, both both on the skill level and then also the practicality of the job market in the red side of the house?
Yeah. So, all right. So I'll get into a little bit of how I got into the field,
Okay, that's
how I
perfect.
transitioned to this world. If you guys heard this before, sorry for the broken record, for some of those folks out there. But I actually got my PayPal hacked into about 10 years ago now, and that's what really drove me to become more of a hacker. Before that, I was a network engineer, system engineer, cloud, and all that stuff. So I wasn't even in cyber or anything like that. And if that incident never happened, the God honest truth, I don't think I would be here today. Because it was never an interest for me. It was not like before I got hacked, it wasn't like, oh, I want to go do that because I loved routing switching. I love BGP, OSPF, EIGRP. Like I love that Cisco life.
Hmm.
But I think everything happens for a reason. So I was uh, I was logging into my PayPal and I had $0 and I was supposed to have like $900 or something like that. So at that point, I was still in undergrad and I was studying information systems. And I was like, man, this was intriguing. Like, how did this happen? Like, I didn't know how that happened. Of course, I clicked on a phishing link and I just fell for the phony, Nigerian prince or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But and then I went to my counselor and I was like, hey, like I want to be able to do this. Is there something I can transition to? And they said it's called information system security and assurance. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I want to do that. Like, and then that's what got me on this path, of cyber and hacking or whatever, ethical hacking and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then this is before Try Hack Me, and we'll get to the whole thing that you asked.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was
of course.
before, remember, Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, even VulnHub, all the platforms we have today. So what did I have to do? I had, servers and stuff like that because of my CCNA, CCNP, CCIE training and all that stuff. So I had all the bells and whistles to get started
Hmm.
my infrastructure. Now I just had to learn how to use Backtrack R3. That's when I started before Cali.
Oh yeah, that's
Yep.
yeah. Not to derail you, but you can always tell like how old someone is by like certain things they say and like yeah, backtrack. What was it called before that? Like Praetorian or something?
Praetorian, yeah,
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
anyways, please
yeah.
continue.
I'm not young. Maybe I look young, but I'm not that young. We're probably the same age.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I started my journey, hacking my own stuff, hacking my neighbor's Wi-Fi, understanding how because I understood the network and how packets traverse and all that stuff. Like I just didn't know how to actually get to the wire and I know how to snip the traffic and TCP/IP dump or TCP dump and
Hmm.
troubleshooting. Really, that's what I was using these tools for, not really hacking. So then I was like, okay, now I can try to hack my neighbor, hack this, hack that, and then going out onto forums. And this is where, there was no real learning platform. That's why you would do more like a gray area of things. And gray meaning I can hack it or whatever, report on it. You have two options: send me to jail or say thank you.
Hmm.
That's more of a gray, right? So once I started doing that, and I was like, okay, now like certifications, and people bash this cert like the CEH. I got my CEH almost 10 years ago now. So yeah, so like CEH, ECSA, LPT, and Certified Hack and Forensics Investigator, CHFI. So when I started those, that's when I started to learn more about this cybersecurity space. And yeah, that's how I got into it. So that's how I learned, right? Hacking my own stuff and utilizing the techniques I found on the internet. So now we can go to what you asked me now, like how can we get into it now?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier today, right? There's no excuse. There's
Yeah.
no excuse. Like, especially not only the platforms, it's just a community. You know, you have so many folks that will give their hand out to help you, including myself. Like, there's a lot better hackers than me. I know that. Like, but I think it all comes down to understanding where you can get those resources from, and being able to utilize your brain to go look for those resources. Because sometimes I'm one of those folks. Like, I want to say, have you tried to Google it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Have you tried to research? Because don't come to me asking, I got this error on Kali. Meanwhile, it's because you forgot to run sudo to do your update,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I get these questions all the time. Like, I'm trying to update my distro and it's giving this error, and you're running it as Kali, or you're running it as a low privilege user. So, but yeah, that's the way.
Yeah,
hack the box.
I'm
try hack
100%
me.
with you. That's kind of one thing that, like, I don't rail against it, because I am really supportive and I am really inclusive, and that's very important to me, especially in the cyber community. And I appreciate, like, that's why I wanted you to come on the channel too. Like, I appreciate that you've taken that same kind of. I told you in DMs the other day, our missions are aligned.
Mhm.
So I appreciate it, but I'm 100% with you. I tell people all the time, listen, there's no easy button in our industry, right? Like, you worked your butt off to get the job, but like, spoiler alert, like, yeah, like, it doesn't, you don't stop busting your hump. Like, you've got to continue that. Like, all it did was prep you for the work life. And people with initiative, people who are proactive, are more likely to stand out as great candidates, because you want to be able to give them a high level challenge and have them go off and do it, and then bring back, like, maybe some challenge, like impediments that they've encountered or whatever. Not just, like, walk away and immediately fall face down and then turn around and be like, can you explain, can you just do it for me? Like, that doesn't help them. It doesn't help the mission and all that. So yeah, I'm kind of rough on that one, and 100% with you that the resources that are available to these youngs nowadays, they've got mad access, for sure. So what kind of, I mean, and we're not sponsored by any of these or affiliated. If you are, like, drop an affiliate link, Pat, but like, what kind of, I guess, what would you, with all the platforms and stuff, would you advise somebody, and this is a question I get sometimes and I have internally and I don't know how to answer it, would you advise someone who's looking to get into pen testing, would you say, oh, go eat from the entire buffet and then, like, be good at some things? Or would you say, like, go do, like, look at cross-site scripting and OWASP and become a master of that? You know what I mean? Like, which of those two kind of paths are you promoting?
For me, I don't do web apps. I'm very rubbish at that.
Okay.
But because I come from the network and system side,
Yeah.
I can dabble in it. I can Google some stuff. I know how to use a lot of the web app tools, Burp Suite and stuff like that. But by any means, I don't claim to be no web app guy. But to answer your question, I think, where are you today? And if you're in a clean canvas, you have nothing, then maybe you can try to dabble in some of that buffet, taste a few things and see what you enjoy most, right? Because how are you going to know you like infrastructure over web app, web app over whatever, networking or whatever the case may be? So I think, like, utilizing, like, the Cyber Mentor, I don't have any, like, sponsors or whatever, but like the Cyber Mentor, I'm a huge fan of the guy, the platform, the content that he puts out on his academy. I have a lot of his training, or their training, and it's super, super helpful. I use it more for reference and really to go in and like I want to do the PMPT with a couple of friends, just like I did the PCNSE years ago. But life is so, we only have so much time in a day.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, so I have a lot of, utilities or resources I use. And, but I think that would be the best way to get into pen testing, or, that's how I did it, right? Like, I got into the network and system side, and that's why I do, like, externals, internals, Wi-Fi, social engineering, phishing, physical because I love talking, right? I'm not your
Uh-huh.
typical nerd or like hermit or whatever. Like that's not me. So I love to talk. So I can shoot the stuff with anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Chris Cahill has a question. Thanks, Chris. Also, shout out to Kev Tech, IT, Kevin. Good to
Yeah.
see you in here, my friend. What's the most effective way you think to show your skills off?
Making videos.
There you go.
I think it's crazy because I've said this on probably Kevin's, other people's, even on my own interviewing folks. 3 years ago, prior to 3 years ago, you would have never known me. I was anonymous to anonymous. I didn't put my government name on anything, right? Because I just like to be me. You know what I mean? I don't like to be, and then obviously things have changed. But once I started, the point being is once I started making videos and showcasing things, it's like, whoa. It's like sometimes a little overwhelming. Yeah, I only have 30,000 subscribers and probably like 18,000 followers on whatever, LinkedIn or whatever. But it does get overwhelming. Like, I don't know, at least for me, it can get overwhelming.
No, it is. You got a Discord server yet, Pat?
Yeah, I don't know how to use it. I have a buddy that helps me out, and Owned, if you're watching this, I love you, kid, but he helps me so much on there. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not a nerd. I don't do this stuff, like I don't know all the ins and outs of all the nerd life. But yeah, I do have a Discord server.
I love it. Well, if Owen is in chat, Owen, drop a link to the server, and we will get folks over there. Also, I'm going to drop a link to Infosec Pat's YouTube channel. If you're into offensive security, if you like Pat, I mean, he's right here. You can see his style. Check his content out. He's doing great stuff, man. I love it. I got a couple more questions from chat coming in real quick here. I'm sorry. So I'm not even going to read these. I'm just going to fire them out there. Ben, what do you think with this explosion of AI variants will allow threat actors to become harder to detect?
That's a good one. Maybe.
Well, certainly social engineering wise, right?
Yeah. So, I think with the whole AI, I can see from the technology perspective, but like you just said, like the social engineering, there's always going to need a human interaction, right? We can have all these robots and dummies or whatever you want to call them, but it only takes one human element to exploit, right? You can have all the bells and whistles. I've gotten past some smart attorneys and really smart people. And like I said a couple minutes ago, I like to talk, so I can shoot the smack. Hockey, this is playoff season, right? I can go and shoot the stuff about hockey and just like, and have my flipper and clone your badge in your pocket. And now I just shoot the stuff and get in your building or whatever. But yeah, so.
I love it. We've got a small.
No, Canes, dude. No.
What is it?
No, Joel, go Canes. I'm not a Jersey fan. I'm a New York Ranger fan, so I guess I can go Canes because hopefully you whack, Jersey. But
yeah, I love NHL playoffs. Like, this has nothing to do with InfoSec or career or content creation, but I'll just tell you guys right now, NHL playoffs is the best tournament, bar none. I'm a Bruins fan, and I don't want to talk about it, Pat.
Panthers got you, dude.
Yeah, dude, too soon. So a couple more questions coming in here. What's your preferred method for interfacing with red teamers? Like, I guess what's your preferred method of interfacing with red teamers? I guess maybe how do you interface with other offensive security professionals? Perhaps I'm not sure, because he is a red teamer. Let me flip the script here, and maybe Eric, you can clarify your question here. How do you interact with blue teamers, right? I mean, like, you're constantly breaking into places and you're not a criminal that I know of. So chances are you're doing it for a reason. You're trying to improve the blue team. So what's your preferred method for interfacing with blue teamers?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Yeah, like we do a lot of purple team as well, and purple is like tabletoping. So yeah, so if we're interfering, interacting with blue teamers, yeah, like if we're trying to do a red team engagement or a tabletop or just a plain old pen test, because there's a difference between a pen test and a red team engagement. But that's a whole nother topic.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I interact is just like we try to educate. At the end of the day, yeah, we have an objective, is maybe just to get into your front door, or maybe is to get a DA credentials. Maybe it's to see how far we can get on your website, or whatever the case may be. There's always an objective. Sometimes we get no luck. There's some blue teamers that I've gotten caught in 4 hours. I was in the environment doing my thing, and they caught me, right? Mm-hmm. So, and when that happens, you just have to say kudos. That's how I interact. Kudos. Now you know about me. Now you know I'm here. So now let's bring this to like a purple team exercise, and how can we leverage and make this environment better and cleaner.
Nice. So what do you see, like current state, like what are you seeing, like is, I guess, like really common low hanging fruit still, or like kind of new stuff? I don't want to hear, just classic like Kerber roasting or something, but like maybe new things with Azure or new techniques that are working, even leveraging AI possibly. Like what's some kind of cutting edge stuff that you're seeing or doing?
Yeah. So a lot of stuff. Yeah, the whole like Kerber roasting and pass the hash and all those, typical AD stuff is always going to be fun. But I interacted with a recent one. I was able to utilize. It was a printer. I forget the name of the printer now. I was just looking over the report we wrote on Tuesday. But
was it the PaperCut printer management software?
Yeah, the PaperCut, exactly. In clear text, the credentials in clear text.
Yep. So
this was super new. Like I didn't know anything about this, and we had some folks out there with using this application and PaperCut and all this stuff, and it was something new to us, right? So that was something, I guess, new on my radar. And we still see some like 2008 boxes out there, 2012 boxes, even Windows 7 machines. And I was able, probably 3 engagements ago, two or 3 engagements ago, still having Eternal Blue, still having FTDB1. And just because they don't want to, just because maybe they have legacy applications or whatever the case may be. But in that case, obviously we would say, okay, you can virtualize this, have it internal only, not exposed to the internet. But still, like if we compromise one of your internal devices, that we can run Nmap, and then we can still have a field trip, but at least it's that, one less attack method.
Man, we're getting some love from Joel Belton for the Windows 95 Vista discoveries, which is laughable, but at the same time, in some manufacturing sites, you will find them. Unfortunately, they're gross, but you will find them.
Yeah. The latest one, the oldest one that since I've been in this space is Windows Millennium on the client side and Windows 2000 server. Like there's still a lot, like you said, manufacturing companies, warehouses that use old legacy like bar scanners.
Yeah.
That use Zebra printers. And all this older stuff and that was another one, they had Zebra printers that they root. And what you can do is just upload some stuff and have persistence later. But
yeah. And you'll see Zebra printers in healthcare,
yep.
Because they're slapping them on like everything. That's how they track patients and stuff. So yeah. And another thing, that you'll see too, like since we're just kind of talking shop here, again, I'm not a red teamer here, but Windows 2016 on the on the IT administration side, and a lot of people who don't, if you don't work in IT, you wouldn't know this, but migrating from Windows 2K16 up into the newer ones like 18 or whatever,
19 or
it's a
22.
it's a massive schema shift. You don't hit update button. It's a massive schema change, and so many administrators are kicking the can down the road because I mean, there's like functionality in hybrid Azure environments that you can't even take advantage of being on 16, and you have to upgrade your entire domain, all the servers. I've just seen it time and time again. And Pat, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, dude, as soon as 16 is like officially end and big exploits drop, like it's going to be a freaking field day for pen testers.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And that's the thing. Yeah, like the FSMOs, all the functionality levels for the domain. It's not like you can just, it's a big transition. You have to go to sites and service. You have to move over your FSMOs. You have to do, because like I said, I come from that background, right? So that's why I love, I guess it helps doing, when you're trying to pen test it, when I was building them. But yeah, like I always push for at least minimum 2019. If you can go 2022, if your stuff is compatible, shoot for the stars, because that's my recommendation.
Yeah, you might even have to go greenfield. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you what, though. I will tell you what. You won't see an environment get upgraded faster than after a major compromise because of those servers. I guarantee you. Blank checks and upgrades, like Oprah, like you get an upgrade, man. It's gonna be all over the place. Let me look at some of these pin questions. So kind of getting back into your life, right? Pen testing, content creation. Stacy wants to know, because Stacy's about to launch her own YouTube channel here later today. How do you manage it all, Pat, with DMs coming from all the different platforms and having to actually think of content and develop yourself as a professional?
Yeah, that's a good one. So, and if you want, shoot me a message as well, and we can talk offline, Stace. So how I manage it all, like I pretty much have my stuff carved out. Usually my videos, I don't probably spend more than a half hour, because a lot of my stuff is like straight to the point if I'm talking about a topic or whatever. And so, it's more, maybe an hour at max if I'm doing a video, because I don't really do too much crazy editing and fancy stuff. I just talk, deliver what I'm trying to talk, or teach what I'm trying to teach, and then hit end recording, and then I just throw it in my editing and export. So as far as all the DMs, I brief through them. Like I said, like I stopped, sort of, responding to like, oh, how to, do this, or like I'll look at it if it's something that you can Google, like I'll just leave it. You know what I mean? Because it's like now you're just trying to, you're trying to have a handout, and if you can't figure out how to Google, you shouldn't be doing it. That's just me. Continuously learn. Like at this very moment, like I just try the same thing with, dedication. I dedicate maybe 3 hours a week, an hour. It's hard right now because the NHL playoffs are on. So from 7 to 10, almost every night, it's hard to watch a game. But literally, like, I just dedicate an hour a night, and I'll like throw on whatever, if it's TCM, or if it's a topic that I'm trying to learn, or if I'm trying to, learn something, I'll jump on Try Hack Me or Hack the Box or whatever platform, and I'll just dedicate an hour to either doing a box or just, hacking my own stuff, and just see if there's anything lingering that's exploitable from my own stuff that's out on the internet. That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, I love it. And if I may, I know you're the guest, but I do like to chime in a little bit. Yeah. One thing that I have found advantageous is if people notice a lot of the content I make, and I would suspect a lot of the content Pat makes, has a lot of overlap with what he needs to do to stay sharp in the industry in order to do his job better. So it's not completely it's not two separate mutually exclusive things where like you do a context shift and you're like, all right, now I need to make a baking video. You're making a pen testing typically video, which reinforces your existing skills, which
Exactly.
yeah. So you're doing professional development as well, I would argue, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And don't think I'm very honest. I'm very transparent. Like, don't think I hit record and I'm doing it all that first time. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I ran through it before I even hit record, so I don't look like a fool as bad, right? I might not remember every single step that I took, but sometimes, like, unless I go live, like all my lives, I never did those boxes or those rooms. But like usually, if I'm doing a hack the box, if I'm doing a walkthrough, I did that box maybe once or twice already. You know, and that's, like you said, that continuous education or that self development and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Because even though they're like CTFs, typically the methodology behind what you're doing is similar to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
At least, for me.
Well, and you really want it to be because, otherwise, what are you doing? I mean, it is doing Wordle is a fun game, and it's not, you're not going to become like a librarian or something playing Wordle. But if you're doing these CTFs, you want them to map to reality. Quick question. James wants to know what software you use to record your videos.
Yeah. OBS Studio.
Okay. OBS Studio. I use Streamlabs desktop, which is formerly Streamlabs OBS. It's basically like Apple is Streamlabs OBS and Android is OBS, right? Streamlabs is a little bit more like plug and play. And OBS, you got to do you can do more stuff, but it is a little bit more involved.
Yeah, I do have OBS. I think the one you just said. I just never used it. Like the guy that helps me owned, like if he helped me set that up, but I just don't feel confident enough yet. Like I'm still so used to OBS Studio.
Yeah.
Hit my record. I know what I'm doing in there. But yeah, it's
definitely absolutely. So Pat, I've got a maybe a hard question, but it's one that I'm thinking of that you're perfect to answer. Okay, so hey, I want to get into the industry. What do? I know I want to be a pen tester, okay? And I've gone and done Hack the Boxes, and I'm pretty good. I've done Try Hack Me. I'm pretty good. I've gone and gotten CEH and Pen Test Plus and some other certifications and stuff. Maybe even OSCP, okay? I'm just going hard. Mm-hmm. How do you break into the industry? Like, is it networking? Is it just cold calling? Is it doing bug bounties? How does someone go from, I finally have all the knowledge to be able to deliver excellence, but how do I convince someone to pay me to do it?
That's a great question. I guess I was a little blessed because like where I was in my life, the company I was working for as a network security person, and then I transitioned to the pen testing world and the offensive security stuff. So, but maybe internship, like there's a lot of, MSSPs or pen testing companies, maybe they'll, I think even TCM does it, like if you get the PMPT and you do, I guess I don't know, the other acronym, like for their career coaching.
Yeah.
And maybe if you reach out to someone like that, maybe like Heath Adams or whomever else on there, Zach Hill, maybe you can shadow and maybe you can intern. Maybe that would be a next step. I guess it's hard for me. You said it's hard because it is hard for me because I never had that problem. Mm-hmm. But I think, trying to network with folks and seeing if you can throw the word out there, and even have an OSCP, PMPT, Pen Test Plus, CEH, all the CYSA, or whatever you want to have for the cybersecurity world. I think having demonstration, maybe even a GitHub or whatever kind of, resource that you like to deliver, I think that'll stand you out a little more as well. Just because you have a resume doesn't mean you can deliver everything on that resume. Mm-hmm. And I've interviewed folks that they say they know Active Directory, they know OSPF and BGP and all these routing stuff, and you tell them, what's the shortest path to, this, what is a hello message? And then, and if you got a CCNA, CCNP level, you should know those. And they're clueless just because so point being is just because you have an exam and you pass an exam, especially like the CEH or Pen Test Plus where it's multiple choice, I think having that practical knowledge and that demonstration will, make you stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know creating content for YouTube is not trivial. It's not easy, but that is another good way. Having a blog, having a GitHub for sure. Even posting content on LinkedIn is good. And by the way, like if you have a blog, like write a blog post, like do this. Do Hack the Box, right? Record a range, okay? Record you doing the range. Upload it to your YouTube. You don't have to have fancy thumbnails and SEO and all that stuff. Just upload it. Then take the transcription or whatever, or write a short blog post on it. Then take the blog post and post it on LinkedIn with a link to your YouTube. Like, do economies of scale. It doesn't have to be all unique new content all over the place. And this will give you a larger surface, and people will start seeing you. And I might say there's a human, and you being a social engineer, loving to talk to people, this is probably going to be second nature to you. But there's a human defect, for lack of a better term, of reciprocity, right? So if I hand Pat, a dozen donuts, right, and then I'm like, hey, like a week later, I'm like, hey Pat, like, can I come on your show and like, can I be a guest on your podcast? Like, maybe not, but he's more likely to say yes because I gave him something, and it's just a human thing. And I'm sure you've exploited that condition in your social engineering, right? So I'm not saying for you in chat looking for a job, I'm not saying like go to a hiring manager and hand him a dozen donuts and then immediately ask him for a job. But my point is, if you're delivering value to the community, there will be a reciprocity activity that occurs at some point. I would argue. So anyways, yeah. So these are the things that I'm thinking of.
No, you're totally right. No, there's no questions about that. So
I love it. So do you want to, have you been messing around or playing around with any of these AIs? Bard got a huge update earlier today. ChatGPT's obviously been massive.
Yeah, I did I've done some ChatGPT stuff but I don't really do too much craziness. Like I don't mess with a lot of that stuff. Like if it doesn't, I guess just to get a little more personal, like if it doesn't really benefit what I'm doing at the moment, I don't do it, right? Like ChatGPT, I like to do it because I'm not a programmer, so it helps me write scripts, right? This is what I utilize that for. But if it's a technology, there's probably a lot of technology I don't even know about because I don't use them, right? So
I like it. Are you doing a live later today?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Well, so what are you doing tomorrow? Let's pump that. Let's let people know.
Yeah. So Try Hack Me just released a red team challenge, and it's right there. That one right there. So yeah, I'll be doing this red team. It's super hard. I bet. Supposedly, so I'm a little shaken up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yo, I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. But they reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to do this, and I want to dedicate an hour tomorrow to see how far I can get. So yeah, come through, help a brother out, and don't only watch me fumble. If you have an answer, you can help a brother out.
I like it. Now, do you interface with chat while you're on lives, or are you just like headphones on, focused, and people are just voyeuristically watching you?
No. So the last time, I try to interact with it, or if I have someone that like I said, my buddy, or like moderate for me, and just like help me out in the chat. Like sometimes I'll just go to the chat. I'm like, hey, like I'm stuck right here. Like, what is the next thing you would do? Like, I bang my head. This reverse script or this RCE is not working, whatever. And what would you do? Like, how else can we compromise this box? Like, I'm stuck.
So,
yeah.
I love doing that. So I play every other Monday. There's a platform similar to Hack the Box and Try Hack Me called Haiku. And I play a range every other Monday. And again, I'm not a pen tester, but I'm also very, very comfortable, you know, like the way the show started today. Like I don't lose my cookies if things don't go right. And
No, likewise.
yeah, like regularly, like Leonardo is in chat. He's a professional pen tester. A woman named Jenny Housley. I haven't seen her in chat, but they'll like regularly like give me hints and nudges, and then finally they'll just like give me the answer.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, you know, like, no, it's not about you know, fear and failure.
yeah,
Fraud. Like, I'm not scared of that because like I said, there's a lot better folks than me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take it to heart. Like there may be a time that I'm stuck and I'm like, you know, let's knock on wood. It hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah.
But it has happened when I did a pre-recorded. I think it was Mr. Robot for the Volnhub machine. Literally, because my friend Dion, if you ever watched this, he's like, "Oh, it's a fun box," and I never watched Mr. Robot in my life.
Okay.
I never watched it. I don't watch that stuff. I watch sports. I don't watch anything else. So I knew it was like a hacking show, but I didn't know who Elliot was. I didn't know anything about the show. So it was hard for me to go through the box. It literally took me like 3 hours to do this Volnhub box. And so I had to cut it up in chunks. Like, I'm like, you know what? Like, I can't do this right now.
What, did you consider it a fun range like Dion had said?
It wasn't fun for me. It wasn't fun for me. You know, like I learned a lot because I learned how to do a lot more WordPress pen testing. But it wasn't fun for me. Favorite NBA team?
Yeah, who's that?
I don't watch basketball, but I'm from New York originally, but I live in Florida now. So I would say the Knicks, because now the Knicks are playing the Heat. So I would go with the Knicks.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Yeah. I love me some Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I think they're gonna beat the Heat, but like last night when they won, because it sucked because the Panthers lost last night and then the Heat lost. So I was like happy on one end, and I was like, oh shit, like the Panthers lost. Like I really wanted the Panthers to sweep
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. That way they won't get any rust on them, right? Like that's how we got to see it.
Exactly, and I guess Florida. Hopefully they win tomorrow night. If they don't, I think I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a hoax because it's like more money. You know what I mean? Now they have to come back to Florida. I don't know. Sometimes I think some sports are a little fixed, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, basketball for sure, and and football maybe a little bit, but hockey. I feel like hockey's pure. Like hockey's too small to really be influenced by that type of stuff. I would argue. Yeah. But Toronto's like one of the greatest choke artists ever, so I'm not too worried about them doing anything.
No, I think the Panthers will get it, and if the Panthers end up playing the Canes, that's going to be good because Bob is on. He's playing like he was playing in Columbus. Like the guy is on fire right now. Like the guy is making saves, and I feel bad for like Igor, right? The goalie for the Rangers. It's like you're the best goalie in the world, but then you have rubbish people in the front. Like we have Kane, we have like this fucking dream team. All of a sudden, it's like they can't play. That's a whole nother.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, I'm 100% with you. But I will tell you, Kachuk's his personality drives that team. If he were to get injured or something, that team would implode. And I just want to quick shout out, Justin. It's still too early, my friend. It's still too soon. So please. Tamper the Deflategate comments for a bit. It's too soon. Have you ever gotten an engagement with a pro sports team? Is that something you'd want to get after?
Yeah, that would be super cool. That would be super cool. But have I? No, I never did.
Yeah. You never thought of just like breaking in and then doing responsible disclosure?
I don't need anyone knocking at my door. I'm good. Yeah. I'm not even risking that.
I love it. Have you done bug bounties at all? I know you said you're not really a web app guy, but the bug bounties do extend beyond that. Yeah,
I have done a few. Not by myself. I've done a few with some friends. Those things I can't really get into by myself because another thing, I never played a video game in my life. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to really, my attention span to do something that really doesn't benefit me in the sense of like, even yeah, it can financially, but I guess financially, I don't think I'll ever get much out of that, because to find those good bugs I'm gonna pay you, a pretty penny.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna find them because that's not my forte, So
yeah, I guess you'd rather do engagements that are guaranteed to pay than
exactly
do bug bounties that might pay.
Yeah, and if I want to learn something, yeah, I can go hack a 101. I can go to it, but I can just do that on Try Hack Me and just do it for fun and just get my, complete my room and go to bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've signed up on HackerOne. I've got an account. I've dabbled a little bit, but to me, I always do like my reconnaissance phase, and then I go read like the rules of engagement and the terms of service and like every other legal part, and I'm just like, I'm good. Like it just feels weird, like attacking a business that I didn't have some type of like project kickoff meeting with about like what I'm doing here and why I'm here. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to accidentally. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, now I have this Nmap scanner if I'm trying to invade a WAF or something like that. And it's like, am I still in scope? Then you have to double check if you're in scope. And like, shit, like maybe it's out of scope now. And, oh man, like this IP wasn't in that scope. And it's like, just because you scan like a wild card, domain, and you forgot to put an E at the end, and now it's, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like an incredibly risk averse individual. And it just gives me like high anxiety anytime I try to go beyond the recon phase. I'm like, no, it hurts. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Chris Cahill throws in the white flag. I love it.
That's what I thought.
Whoa.
Oh, no problem.
Siri.
So we're at 5:20. We got a couple more minutes before we have to go. But Ben wants to know, what's your favorite Wi-Fi network sniffing tool? You do some Wi-Fi hacking?
Yeah, I do a lot of Wi-Fi hacking. What is my favorite tool? Like just to sniff the packets? Because like Wireshark sniffs packets. Are you trying to say like, okay, like now I have your 4-way handshake, and what am I going to use to crack it? Like,
I think maybe if you're going to go on a wireless engagement, kind of what are those like couple tools that you definitely throwing in your toolbox?
Yeah, so there's a few. Like I have a Wi-Fi Pineapple, the Nano. I have.
Are those as legit as the marketing would have you believe?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It's actually a really cool tool.
All right, there you go. You heard it from the man himself. I love it.
Yeah, I've done some fun stuff. To say the least. Like I've gone to Starbucks, Captive Portal, clones. I've done some fun stuff on it.
Uh-huh.
Obviously I have a few Wi-Fi adapters, like my Alphas, my Pandas, stuff like that. So, but tools, Wi-Fi Pumpkin, there's Wi-Fi Pineapple, and that's the one I have, and I have the Nano, and it's super, super slick. And that's what I use. You know what I mean? Like I'll set up, a captive portal, like say that's only if they're using like Radius or something that has to have authentication through AD. Mm-hmm. So now I can try to authenticate, because obviously if there's a SSID that would just a pre-shared key, that's a little easier, right? Because now we're just eavesdropping, trying to de-authentication, a de-auth attack, and then wait for to capture the 4-way handshake, and then take that 4-way handshake and try to crack that with Aircrack NG or whatever.
So I mean that's your classic like Airmageddon, Air Replay, Aircrack.
Armageddon. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So wow. So I guess let me ask you. I mean, this device is only $120, which is not free, but at the same time, it's not $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have fun with it? Like, I mean, are there like practical tutorials, or did you just have to like hack and figure out how to use it? Or is there like a good corpus of information on how to use it for different applications?
Yeah, I think that there is some. I had a friend that had one, my friend, my buddy Dion, and he was just like, hey, like once you get yours, let's jump on a remote session and I'll get yours hooked up. And once it's hooked up, it's just like a router, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty much you log into it, and it's very, very similar to I think no, I don't have a video because YouTube took it down. I did have one on Wi-Fi hacking with the Wi-Fi pineapple, setting up captive portals, setting up all that stuff, but they took it down. But
yeah, they're pretty. The bots are pretty precise with certain keywords. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's still like what I'm like. I have a strike right now that I'm still waiting to get rid of.
Hey, remind me. Sorry for those on chat right now, but remind me after we end the show to ask you about the private cyber content creator Discord server. Okay. So just remember to ask me about that, okay? Or I'll remember.
Yeah.
What about flippers? Are these things overhyped? Like, do you actually use these in practical applications or what? Oh, there you go, buddy. Flipper bump, boosh. There it is. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got, you use it in practical application.
Yeah. I use it probably daily.
Oh crap. Okay. Well, that's okay. Yeah. So did you put a custom firmware on, or did you roll with OEM?
I use Unleashed. So what I did, or what I use it for, obviously, like I clone my badge for work and I can go and get into my building. Obviously you can open up Tesla, the little charging stations. I can change the pricing on, the corner store, gas stations, open up garage doors. Obviously you change the channels and turn, like I don't do a lot of it, but it's capable. I have it all configured because, at the end of the day, that's not cool if you're going to start going open up. If it's my friend's Tesla, which I don't have any friends that have a Tesla, then I'll go tinker with them and I'll mess with them. But obviously,
what do you use it primarily for then for professional applications?
Yeah, to MFA. I use it for MFA. Like what? I said, badge cloning, so I can get into the...
What MFA?
So, yeah, you can use this as an MFA device.
Okay.
Yeah, so... But yeah.
Hold on. No. Not yet. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like what form factor of MFA? Like NFC, like near presence, like a YubiKey?
Yeah,
okay.
YubiKeys, yep.
So you can clone someone's YubiKey?
Yep. I have one right over there. Yeah. From one.
Interesting. Yep. I thought YubiKeys were hard, like inputs into the device, not NFC.
No, this one actually, I've done it. I did it with that.
No, I believe you. I just, I was unaware that YubiKeys were NFC. I thought they were, plug-in physical hardware key, not, so interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah, and there's probably so many other things that you can do with it, but that's pretty much what I've done with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. No, very, very cool. Yeah, I had Unleashed on mine for a minute, and then I put a different one on so I could run Doom on it, and then the battery died, and I haven't charged it since. But Pat, I don't know if you know this, but most of my world revolves around GRC, so it's mostly Excel spreadsheets and clipboards over here. So the Flipper Zero, it's on my bookcase behind me to impress the people who come in my office and sit there.
Yeah, and that's pretty much literally like, it was funny because my ex-girlfriend was like, oh, like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I just want a flipper. She's like, I don't know what that is. And literally, like, I was like, because everyone's like, oh, these things are like pulling teeth. You can never get a hold of one. Literally, I went to shop that flipper one, whatever the damn thing is. And I bought it the same day. I was like, okay, here you go. Purchase. Like, so I don't know if people like out of the country, it's so hard for them, but literally every time I go there, they're available. So I don't know if it's because where I'm at in the States, but I never seen it sold out. I don't know.
Hey, someone in chat from your paired stream saying she came back with a snorkel set, asking for a flipper. A bunch of dolphins. I love it. Hey, James Randolph is saying you should know this, man. Whoops. The new YubiKeys can't clone the NFC. This is coming from someone in the community, so I don't like.
Okay, so maybe it's all right. So maybe just
I need fact check that. They may have implemented a new version in direct response to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe, because mine's probably a couple years old.
All right. So hey, we're right getting close to the end here. I want to give Pat the stage per usual. and then I'll give a couple calls to action for everybody to get all up in his socials. But Pat, I really, really appreciate you coming on. It was really nice to get to know you and talk hockey for a minute too. It's best time of the year for real. But let me give you the stage. You can have final words, whatever you want to share with the community here. And on behalf of all of them, I genuinely appreciate you coming here today and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Yeah. So, obviously, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything and everyone from the bottom of my heart. Like we said in the beginning, right? I just hit 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. Couldn't have done it without, if any of you guys support my channel, thank you so much. And yeah, until next time, I really, hopefully I can have you on my channel, and we can definitely keep this community going. And yeah, I'm super grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. I'd be happy to come on your channel if you find a time slice that works. I'd love to come on. I've shared in chat a link to Pat's YouTube channel, but specifically the live stream that he's doing tomorrow night. But obviously, go to it'll take you to his channel so you can subscribe and check out his other content. Guys, his mission is very much aligned to the Simply Cyber mission. He's helping people understand. He's inclusive. There's no dumb questions. He's humble, right? He admits there's things he doesn't know. He's not trying to just, whatever, wear $30,000 watches and talk about how sick he is at pen testing. All right. So no. So anyways,
Apple Watch.
Apple Watch. Yeah. So go check it out. He's on LinkedIn. You can connect with him, obviously, and we'll continue having Pat be involved with the Simply Cyber community. I also, Justin Gold, thank you, dropped a link to your Discord server, so you can definitely giddy up on that. Let me go ahead and pull this up really quickly. This is Pat's LinkedIn page, so this is what you're going to want to connect to when you connect with him, and this is that YouTube feed for his channel, and this is what his main channel looks like. All right, so get up on all of that. Guys, I just want to remind everybody really quickly, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'll be doing my weekly daily, I do it every single day, daily cyber threat briefing, 45 minutes of the top cyber news of the day with my analysis and opinions and lots of great networking. So definitely take a moment and join us if you can there. All right, I'm going to bring you back on, Pat. Here we go. All right, there we go. Pat's texting. This is perfect. All right, Pat, I know you got to roll. I got to roll. Yeah. Hey, on behalf of chat, I think I do actually have the right outro. No, I don't. Oh, yeah, here we go. I've got the right outro. Okay, so on behalf of myself and Pat, thank you all for being here today. I hope you learned something. I hope you could take something away. Until next time, everybody, be safe and stay secure.
Thank you.